Welcome to Brighton High on the beautiful east bench of the Wasatch Mountains. The Bengals are undefeated yet underwhelming entering the 6th week of the high school football season, having yet to record a complete game. With Jordan coming to town, 4 quarters might not be enough. In one of the craziest games ever played in this state, the Bengals tiptoed past Jordan 78-76 in triple overtime last season. Will the madness continue on Friday night? Jordan, Brighton. It's a top 5 matchup, and this is Campus Takeover. This is Campus Takeover, brought to you by Trib Preps. Each week we'll visit the campus of one of Friday night's marquee matchups. We'll break down key storylines and talk with players and coaches from both teams. And afterward, we'll pick the winners of the biggest games. Hit it! Deal us a pair of 3. Each week we will discuss the 3 best notable performances and 3 surprise teams that caught our eye from last week. Anytime you rush for 7 touchdowns in one game, you're going to be on this segment. We promise you that. Milford's Jordan Hardy found the pay dirt 7 times in the Tigers' runaway win against Parowan, becoming the 8th player in state history to accomplish the feat and only the 2nd since 1945. Josh Davis could not be stopped in Alta's win against Orem, rushing for 372 yards and 3 touchdowns, the 7th best single-game rushing performance in state history. He added another touchdown and 67 yards of receiving to boost his all-purpose yardage to 430, also placing him 7th in the record books. Kobe Beatty scampered for 17.2 yards per carry in Bonneville's win against crosstown rival Ogden. He finished with 224 yards and 4 scores on the night. Desert Hills showed exactly what happens when it plays programs within the same classification. After losses against 5A's Jordan and Roy, the Thunder embarrassed Hurricane 37-10. Can they replicate the same performance against Dixie on Friday? After failing to score a single point against Duchesne, Kanab rebounded with a vengeance against Rich. The Pokes shut out the defending champs 49-0. Similar to the 7-touchdown statement, if any one team reaches the 70-point plateau, there's a good chance they'll find themselves in this segment. North San Pete posted the massive number in a 70-36 win against rival Delta. Jordan suffered its first loss of the season against Cherry Creek, which is the top-rated team in Colorado. Now, the Diggers, they nearly overcame a dreadful third quarter with a valiant comeback, but ultimately fell 3 points short. Now, this is the same offensive juggernaut that we've been used to, despite the loss of record-setting quarterback Austin Kafentzis. The 2015 version of Jordan is averaging 43 points per game, which is roughly 2 points less than they did last year. Drew Lisk is a great quarterback and has shown to be able to take advantage of his weapons on the outskirts. Now, so Jordan is going to score points, but what does Brighton need to do defensively to make life a little difficult for them, Tom?
First off, I like the fact that Fahoko and Himuli Lund are on the defensive side, and just talking to them, they sound like that's put in an emphasis. So with your 2 best athletes playing in the defense, that gives them a little bit of help. But I think that they also need to put a little pressure on the quarterback.
We focus so much on Jordan's passing game because they put up such gaudy numbers, but they're capable on the ground too. Lisk is capable with his feet, and Alec and Alec, the law firm, Alec Kenner and Alec Evans, have been consistent throughout the season. So does Brighton have the strength in the secondary to put a couple more bodies in the box to try and contain them?
For me, Trevor, I think the beginning, it has to come from Sione Haimuli-Lunt. He has to get pressure on Lisk. And if he can do that consistently, if he can get into the box, make him uncomfortable, kind of stop that running game you mentioned. It's a dual-headed running game, a couple of talented guys back there. If he can apply consistent pressure, then maybe they can afford to bring a few guys down into the box. But other than that, I mean, your first, second, third priority is Curtis. You have to stop him, and maybe you have to commit a few extra corners out to do that. So, again, it's up to Haimuli-Lunt. If you can get that pressure on, then maybe you can afford to gamble a little more in the secondary.
You know, defensively, Jordan has always been a kryptonite for them. They do seem improved at this point in time, though. They're only giving up 28 points per game, which is a lot, obviously, but it's far less than what they were giving up, nearly 40 points in 2014. Tom, do you see this defense as an improved unit, or do you think that Brighton can put up 78 points against them again?
I can't see Brighton putting up 78 points, but I think Brighton could score on this defense. I think defense has been Jordan's Achilles heel for many years, and I suspect that this will be a high-scoring game, probably close, somewhere in the 35-28 range.
So Brighton has won 2 straight in the series and 3 of 4 overall. Brighton has maintained their number 2 ranking the entire season, but all 5 of their wins are kind of lacking that Hollywood glamour. They snuck past American Fork and Fremont, and then they slugged one out against Harriman, and then they trailed against Cottonwood and Taylorsville, which they had no business doing, and ended up getting past them. Is this the game that Brighton finally pieces the puzzle together and plays a complete 4 quarters, Brennan?
Trevor, I think actually I do think that Jordan is the better team. I think that Brighton overall, you can't take them lightly. Even with those close victories, that shows a certain amount of perseverance, or that they can overcome that adversity. But I do think that they need a marquee win. I just don't think it will come this week. I mean, Jordan's offense is Jordan's offense. It continues to be a juggernaut every year, especially this year. I'm not sure that this is the game, and I think it's okay that Brighton's winning those close games, but they certainly need some kind of blowout win to sort of convince moving forward as we get into the second half of the season.
Hunter Albert stepped into the starting role at quarterback after Drew Jensen suffered yet another knee injury. But he's performed adequately, including throwing 4 touchdown passes against T-ville last week. Tom, how do you think he has adjusted or adapted to being thrust in such important position at quarterback?
I think he's done well, although in fairness, the game I covered him was American Fork, and they had their 3rd-string quarterback in because he got hurt as well. I think the key to this game is going to be if Brighton can control the tempo a little bit. I see Brighton as more of a grinded-out team that will have long drives. Fehoko has the capability of breaking a big one once in a while, but I think Brighton would probably like to keep Jordan off the field as much as possible.
Any stress of a quarterback is probably relieved when you have Fehoko and Sione Heimuli-Lund, who we'll interview later. Brendan, do you think those 2 are the best 1-2 punch in the state?
I think you have to – I don't think it's that close. I mean, between offensive talent with your wide receivers and your running backs, there's obviously other teams. Roy has an incredible stable of running backs. You talk about Curtis as a wide receiver, but between these 2 guys, obviously you can pound the rock with Heimuli-Lund. You can go over the top with Fehoko. I don't think it's really a contest. These guys are very talented, and now it just comes down to if Albert can get them the ball in this game and if they can keep pace with a really high-powered Jordan offense.
It should be an exciting atmosphere on Friday night here. 7 p.m., the 5th-ranked Jordan Beat Diggers are coming to the 2nd-ranked Brighton Bengals. Should be a good one. We're here with Brighton coach Ryan Bullitt as his team's preparing to play Jordan. Last year was 78-76. Do you think your heart can take another one of those games?
No, that was a barn burner. It was not what we expected at all. Hopefully, this year with our offensive coordinator, we've got a little different game plan, and our defensive coordinator does a lot better job to try to slow those guys down a little bit.
Your offensive coordinator wants to score 100 points this time?
Well, he's trying to move the ball a little too quick. We don't want to get in a track meet with those guys. That's what they do.
In your coaching career, where does that rank as far as memorable games?
I've never been involved in anything like that, and I know, talking with some of the other coaches, Coach Lunak and that, he said, geez, that's probably the funnest game I've ever been involved in.
So this season kind of started with another hardship. Drew Jensen was injured, dealing with a knee injury. Kind of a 2-part question. How is Drew doing right now? And then how did your team respond when he got injured?
Right now Drew's doing fine. He could come back out this week. Maybe next week. I'm not sure exactly, but he's right on target. He'll be back. He'll be competing for us again this year. And we kind of just had the next man up. Help the guy behind you, and Drew just turned around and. He got hurt, except though his leadership in that, he stuck with it and stayed with the kids. And he's been through the routine before. Unfortunately, I think he plays so hard. He's one of those kids. He's just had some injuries. He doesn't know how to go slow.
I noticed in the American Fork game, he came out with the team captains with his brace on and kind of limped out for the coin toss. That's got to inspire your team a little bit.
Yeah, you know, he's shown up to practice every single day, dressed full pads, ready to go. He goes before school and does his physical therapy. He lifts every day still. His goal is to plan on playing. He wants to go both ways when he gets back. You know, and we're excited to have him back when the time is right.
It's a little easy for a quarterback when you have Fehoko playing, though. Am I right?
Yeah, you know, the kids have done a nice job all summer, and obviously you got a kid back there. Fehoko's been playing 3 years. You know, the kids have thrown him a lot of balls during the summer, a lot of competition, and you know, they don't have to have a throw right on target. And you know, Simi's such a good athlete that he can go make a play if there's one or two guys on him.
You know, this season you guys have kind of had to slug out a couple wins against Fremont and against American Fork. Do you think right now this team has put together 4 complete quarters?
You know, we really haven't. We've played some solid football, either on the defensive side of the ball for 4 quarters. We really haven't put the whole package together with the offense and the special teams. I really thought week 1, boy, we played very well defensively. You know, a lot of teams are going to have a lot of trouble stopping Herman. But we didn't put together a very good offensive package, and then we struggled a little bit on special teams. We're still looking for it.
When I talked to you after the American Fork game, you described your team as resilient. Is that how you think it's been with all the injuries and the different things you've had to deal with? Is that how you're still feeling?
Yeah, you know, the kids they've done a nice job rallying, stepping up. You know, the kids know how to win. There's never been a doubt or a moment. You know, we've been behind in 1 or 2 games early in the game, but there's not a panic, Phil. And the kids just kind of know we go in at halftime, make some adjustments, come back out the second half and kind of chip away, or what we need to do in that 4th quarter to be a little bit better than the other team.
Huge Region 3 matchup, obviously, on Friday. Top 5 matchup. What are you expecting on Friday?
You know, it'll be another, you know, Coach Kerr and Jordan. It'll be another tough challenge for us. We've played them so many times over the last few years. They're really familiar with us. We're familiar with them. You know, it's going to be the typical, we're going to try to slow those guys down. You know, and we need to hold on to the football. We need to be selfish and keep the football. And we need to have, you know, some solid special teams and not let those guys get any momentum going. And, you know, see who comes out on top.
How different is Jordan without Kafensis?
Well, they're still really dangerous. They're really throwing the ball. You know, we were texting over the weekend with my coaches, and I'm asking which one's the all-state receiver because all those receivers look good. You know, and I know last year when we played Jordan, they had some different jerseys on, some of those receivers. So we were kind of, you know, trying to figure out which one was the all-stater because the other kids, you know, we're so good. So we got it all squared away, but I don't know if that makes a difference.
That was Brighton coach Ryan Bullitt. Spencer Curtis is the opposite of imposing. The junior receiver is listed at 6'1", but that seems awfully generous. Add his laid-back surfer persona to the equation, and you'd never know Curtis is one of the top wideouts in Utah. But don't let that fool you. Curtis can flat-out catch the football. The junior is on pace to shatter numerous UHSAA receiving records. He already ranks 11th all-time in career receptions and 15th in receiving yards. But despite hauling in 79 receptions as a sophomore, Curtis was hardly recruited this offseason. That's starting to change. Although he's still without any official offers, Cal Berkeley and Florida State have ramped up their interest in the shifty receiver, he says.
I think it's awesome because a school's looking at me, and I want to go to the next level and catch the ball and do good there.
Curtis has the speed and hands to compete at the next level, but he needs to grow in both height and weight. He said his father is 6'5", but there's no guarantee he'll sprout that high. But he's fully aware height doesn't dictate success.
I want to be like Julian Edelman or Randall Cobb, who just catch it and go.
The stigma attached to Jordan is the system produces gaudy numbers more so than the players. Curtis understands several beat diggers have climbed the record books in high school, but haven't produced in college. Yet he believes he can perform with any playbook.
I can do more than just the system. Like I think I'll do good in college and even now for the rest of my high school career.
Jordan will play at Brighton this Friday night. The Bengals won the meeting last year 78-76 in triple overtime. The matchup also pits arguably the 2 best receivers in the state on the same field, Curtis and Brighton's Simi Fehoko. Fehoko declined to comment on whom he believed is the better target. Curtis didn't hesitate to voice his opinion.
I think I'm better.
We are here with Simi Fehoko and Sione Hemuli Lund, two of the best players in the entire state. Last year, you guys beat Jordan 78-76. What was it like to play in that game?
You know, I think that's something that we're definitely going to cherish for the rest of our lives. I mean, that's unheard of, and that's such a high-scoring game, and that's something definitely that's in my heart for the rest of my life. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people remember that.
It's crazy, you know, playing against Austin Confensis. You know, he put up some big numbers, but you know, our offense came out, we did our work, and you know, it was awesome putting up that many points. It was a cool state record, I believe. So,
you know, this team has been ranked number 2 in the state from the onset, but it's lacking a glamorous win. You're kind of slugging out wins, and some teams are critics are saying that maybe you're not deserving of that number 2 ranking. What would you say to that?
I think we've been playing pretty well, but we haven't been playing to the best of our ability so far, and so I think we're just still waiting for that game where we break out and show the team that we really are the number 2 and we could be the number 1. We're that good. So I mean, the rest of the teams in the state, they're good too, but I think Brighton has something to prove.
I mean, I agree along with Sione, you know, that, you know, we haven't had our breakout game yet, but I feel it's coming. You know, we just keep putting in our work here, and I feel like it's going to come soon.
Does that mean you're going to drop 85 on the beat diggers?
I mean, if that's possible, we could do it.
You guys both play offense and defense, and as the season's worn down, we're getting close to the halfway mark of the regular season. Do you start getting worn down a little bit from that?
You know, it starts to take its toll at time, but as Coach Bullitt says, if we keep our part and keep it up in the weight room and how we eat, I think it definitely helps to our season and just keeping our bodies right.
You know, both of you are obviously the 2 top threats on offense, but you might be more important on defense, trying to stop Jordan. How do you slow down that offense?
I mean, for sure, you know, they're a fast-paced offense. They have a great receiver, Spencer Curtis. I play with him, and you know, it's going to be hard to stop. You know, I think if we just keep scheming around them and figuring out what we need to do to beat them, I think we can do it.
So who's the best receiver in the state, you or Spencer?
I can't say that.
You know, Simi, you're committed to Stanford, and when you committed, Sione, you were saying you're a package deal. So a lot of people are saying that you're going to Stanford. Is there any truth to that?
You know, I love Stanford. I'm leaning towards there a little more than other schools, but my options are definitely wide open. But Simi here, it's hard to pass up Stanford when he's always putting a good word for them and just what they offer and stuff. So it's awesome.
Yeah, you guys are probably pretty excited to watch Stanford beat USC in the Coliseum Saturday night.
It was pretty awesome, you know. You know, it was awesome watching Osa as well. So, I mean, good to watch your former teammate take on your team. So, it was awesome, yeah.
Did you shoot him a text or anything and say, go Cardinals?
Yeah, I sent him that.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Oh, yeah.
How has it been to have 3 quarterbacks so far this year? That's particularly for a receiver, but you take some passes as well. Your coach called you resilient. Is it hard to adjust to the styles of 3 different quarterbacks?
Over here, Brian, they just teach us, you know, just be coachable and be adaptable to whatever is thrown at us. And, you know, Simi here joked around about us being, you know, Ohio State, going through all 3 quarterbacks and still doing well. But I mean, we're definitely like adapting to the different types of quarterbacks we have, and it's been pretty good for us, I think.
That was Brighton receivers Simi Fehoko and Sione Hemuli Lund. It's time to make picks. Quoting Information Society, I want to know what you're thinking. I mean, it's amazing that I probably just lost all of our viewers there, but it's amazing to think I have never tried out for America's Got Talent. But speaking of talent, I went 6-1 last week, as did Tom Wharton. That brings us to 24-11 overall. Brennan, you got to start making some upset picks here.
Yeah, I'm bringing up the rear, but there's always time. Well, kind of.
Manti at North San Pete is going to be our first game. Does North San Pete have anything left in the tank? In the past 2 games alone, they've scored 125 points. Manti has dominated the series as of late, though, winning 4 straight. Do they make it 5, Tom?
I don't think so. I'm going to go with the Hawks in this one. I think it's looking more and more like Manti is having a down year, and North San Pete is starting to look like they might be the real deal, although in that particular division, I think Canyon View might be the class right now.
Yeah, I'll side with Tom on this one. North San Pete looks like the real deal. I mean, they're really picking it up. Senior Zach Lee is throwing at least 3 touchdowns in all of his games except for against Maple Mountain. He threw 6 last week, which is totally absurd against Delta. Spencer Applegarth, we've been talking about this off camera, but he's a talented running back. He's averaging 175 yards per game. He's already at 7 touchdowns. He only had 14 last year, and he's already halfway there. So I think North San Pete rolls in this one.
Manti's 2 wins this year are against Carbon and Emory. Not exactly resume builders. And considering they allowed 55 points against Canyon View last week, doesn't bode well for playing the Hawks, who have really started to come on offensively. As Brennan mentioned, Applegarth is a real threat. He's not very well known in the state because he plays for a smaller program, but he can compete. He's a powerful runner and can get some things done. I like the Hawks to win this one. Taylorsville at West Jordan. On paper, this is a game that's not very special, but behind the scenes, it has huge implications for the playoffs. In Region 3, Bingham, Brighton, and Jordan are going to clinch the top 3 seats. There's no way around it. Copper Hills is not making the playoffs. They're not. It's just not going to happen. So that leaves Taylorsville and West Jordan for the final spot in Region 3. Who gets it done, Tom?
I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. Home team. I think this is going to be a really close game. Taylorsville's got an excellent offense, but they've been struggling on defense a little bit. And I just think that West Jordan's going to be up for this one. They're due to go. That said, Taylorsville's got a little better winning tradition, so it can go either way. This was one of my harder picks, but I'm going to go with West Jordan.
I had the chance to go see Taylorsville play Davis a few weeks ago, and they're still breaking in a freshman quarterback. But Dane Leituala really impressed me when I watched him go up against Davis's defense. It was a 38-20 loss, but it was closer. It was kind of a couple of garbage time touchdowns for Davis. I think Leituala is coming into his own. I think now that we're a few games into the season, he'll really step it up in this game. I have Taylorsville in this one. He has 10 touchdowns on the ground. He's still kind of finding his way passing the ball, but I think that Taylorsville takes care of business and makes a little more noise in this game than West Jordan.
In our preseason previews, I projected West Jordan to finish 4th in region, but it hasn't done anything to make me comfortable sticking to my guns in that projection. I'm going with Taylorsville. Dane Leituala has anybody seen his birth certificate? Because he's playing like a grown man. I mean, he's leading the state in rushing as a 15-year-old. I don't think West Jordan really has an answer for him. I like the Warriors. Number 25, Logan, is headed to Tooele. Now, Logan, for 2 weeks, looked like a garbage fire. They got smoked against Mountain Crest and Skyview. But to Logan's credit, Skyview and Mountain Crest are pretty formidable opponents. Since Logan has returned to playing teams within its own classification, it's dominated. Now they have to head to Tooele. Now, Tooele is a much different story than Ben Lomond and Judge Memorial. Can Tooele use the advantage of Logan making a long drive into unfamiliar territory and get a win?
I'm going to go with Tooele in this one. I watched Tooele against Stansbury, and they surprised me. But the key is going to be how long they can hold the ball. Tooele with Ryan Brady in the backfield kind of is a running team, very power running team that has long drives. The one concern if you're a Tooele fan is you got to cut down on the turnovers. They do turn the ball over a little bit.
I'll agree with Tom. I mean, that's not really a Sunday stroll to get from Logan to Tooele. But also, you mentioned Ryan Brady, but they have a 3-headed rushing attack between Demetrius Smith, Brady, and Lincoln Powers. Between them, they have 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing. I think you mentioned it, Tom, already, but the Buffaloes really need to grind out that clock, keep long, sustained drives, and I think that they'll get the victory at home.
Tooele is at a stage where they're winning games they're supposed to and losing games they're supposed to. That's a characteristic of a good team, but not a great team. Tooele has not seen an aerial attack like Logan this season, and Logan is starting to play like a team that is capable of winning a championship, which I projected them to do at the start of the season. I like Logan to win this game, and potentially convincingly. Number 17, Dixie, heads to crosstown rival number 16, Desert Hills. Now, these two teams have combined for the past 3 state championships at the 3AA classification level. Last season, Dixie won this game 17-16. Do you expect kind of a low-scoring affair again this time, Tom?
Desert Hills and Dixie is one of the really good Southern Utah rivalry games. And in this league, the last couple of years in 3AA, the team that had finished 3rd or 4th in the league actually won the state championship. So who knows down here? I suspect that the offense is going to be a little stronger this year with Desert Hills' Nick Wormsley and Trey Miller from Dixie. I think they might score a few more points than last year, but this should be one of the best games of the night. And I'm going to pick Desert Hills.
You know, guys, I think that Jordan and Brighton gets all the hype for this week, but I think that when it comes down to it, Dixie Desert Hills might be the actual best game going into this week. Desert Hills easily dispatched Hurricane last week. The Flyers have wins over Alta, Canyon View, and Cedar City. Those aren't easy wins. And Desert Hills' defense has been really stout, but I think Dixie, Tom mentioned it, Trey Miller's really talented. They're scoring 45 points per game. I think the Flyers get this one, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything. It's going to be a close game. but I think that Dixie will put up enough points to take the victory.
I don't think this is going to be a low-scoring affair. Expect a lot of points here. Trey Miller, Brett Barbin, Zach Hara, those are real-deal players for Dixie. While three-year starter quarterback Nick Wormsley might be the best quarterback in the classification for Desert Hills. In really, really close games like this, I tend to favor the home team, which I'm doing this time. I'm picking the Thunder in a shootout. Olympus hits the road to number 19 Kearns. Now, Kearns is 5-0, but their wins are against Timpanogos, Granger, Cottonwood, Copper Hills, and Hillcrest. Those teams are combined 4-21 this season. There's no other way around it. The Cougars have the worst preseason schedule in the state. Can Olympus expose that?
Olympus could expose that, and Olympus is a good team, but they got to go out to K-Town, which I think is going to be rocking. Kearns, when I covered them against Granger this year, looked like one of the better 4A teams. I think they're very underrated, and I'm going to go with Kearns in this game.
Trevor, you mentioned it. I mean, Kearns has played the biggest cupcake schedule that I've seen recently, but I also think that they're the real deal. I mean, you have to play the people that they put in front of you on your schedule, and I think that Kearns beat Hillcrest last week, strong region opener. It was a convincing win. Sione Finau is running like a man possessed, so I think the Cougars take this one.
The schedule is awful, but that doesn't mean Kearns is. They outscored those 5 opponents 208-81, so they're recording blowouts in games they should blow out the other team. I like Kearns to win this game against Olympus and set up a showdown against Murray next week. Spanish Fork is headed to number 14 Maple Mountain. Now talk about heartbreak. Spanish Fork's 2 losses this season against Orem and Springville were combined by 5 points and were both lost with about 2 minutes left in the game. Against Springville, they allowed a safety with a minute left. Maple Mountain's one loss was against Springville too, and it was a botched extra point. So Springville is kind of the demon or the devil, I might say, for those two teams. Which team do you think survives this game, Tom?
Again, when in doubt, go with the home team. This is a big rivalry game. A lot at stake down on the southern end of Utah County with this game, but I like Maple Mountain on this one.
For me, I think this is going to be really a defensive clash. These two teams, they played 10 games between each other. 6 of those times they've held opponents to 15 points per game or under that. I think that Maple Mountain just missed OT with Springville. That was a really close game. And Spanish Fork is kind of beaten up on a couple of inferior teams. I think Maple Mountain is for real, and they win this game.
Kind of piggybacking off Tom, I like the home team in close games, which Maple Mountain has the advantage this time. I think they have a couple more weapons, mainly Jaron Hall, a quarterback committed to BYU, that will help them get a win at home. I like Maple Mountain. That brings us to the game of the week. Number 5, Jordan, will be right here against the second-ranked Brighton Bengals. Now, this game has huge playoff and region implications. I don't need to tell anybody that. Can Jordan's defense stop Brighton's offense? Can Brighton's defense stop Jordan's offense? Will we see a combined 150 combined points again, Tom?
I don't think this game is going to be as high a scoring as last year. I think their defenses on both for the Beat Diggers and the Bengals have improved. This is one of the best games so far this year in terms of matching 2 real strong 5A powers. I'm going to go with Brighton in this game. I think they're going to try to slow it up a little bit, do a little bit more grind it out, and try to keep the ball out of Jordan's hands, and I think that's going to be the key. So I'm going to go with the Bengals in a close one, maybe 35-28.
Brighton's ranked higher and deserves the utmost respect for what they've done. Obviously, they have a ton of talent, but I actually think Jordan is the better team overall. I think this game comes down to just asking Hunter Albert to keep up with Drew Lisk. That's like asking Blake Bortles to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. And I think that overall, Brighton has a ton of weapons. Jordan can match them, especially in the passing game. I like Jordan to come in here and take the victory.
Brighton's wins against Harriman and Fremont are of quality, but they were a little ugly, but they were still quality wins. Now, Brighton has one of the deepest skill sets in the entire state in terms of players being recruited. But Jordan's offense is like Novocaine. Give it a little time, and it's going to work. I like Drew Lisk. I like Spencer Curtis, his lead receiver. But they also have 2 great running backs that they can employ if Brighton stacks the box. Now, Brighton has a bunch of two-way players, and I think especially in the secondary, having to guard Curtis and all the different options that Jordan has is going to eventually come down in the fourth quarter, and Jordan's going to have a little bit more energy and a little bit more to go. I like Jordan to pull off the upset. That's going to conclude Week 6 of Campus Takeover here at gorgeous Brighton High School. That's Tom Wharton. This is Brennan Smith. I'm Trevor Phibbs. Until next time.